What's going on,
Good
everybody? Welcome
morning.
to episode two. Episode two of the Daily Grind. I
Woo.
am Trey McLean. We got Presley Christine sitting over there getting her stuff together. By the way, the hair looks great. Just
Dude,
so you know, I know.
I am having such a bad hair day. I got like this side is like poofy for some reason, and it looks like I want to talk to your manager. And I'm just not.
You know,
It's driving
I
me nuts.
just can't say I have the same problem. Sorry. I mean, I want to, but I just can't.
So annoying. I'm
All right.
like,
Hey, we want to thank everybody who watched our show yesterday, all throughout the day. We got a lot of good feedback from a lot of our friends, including one who we made
we
mention
had a
earlier
shout
about
out.
a little accident. Yeah, our buddy Wiley. And here's what he put. Oh, Trey, FYI, the deer was running alongside me into the ditch to my right, so I decided to move to the left to give it room. And if it did try to run up on the road, I was in the left lane. I cruised off into the median and overcorrected, and to get back onto the road, and I shot across the whole highway down into the creek and hit the tree and hit that tree. Now here's where Wally does what he does. See, that's what happens when y'all lean left nowadays. Bad shit happens.
I mean, he's not entirely wrong, but
Yeah, I don't know, maybe, but you know what?
I like my
Shout out
happy
to
spot
Wally
in the
for
middle, Wiley.
yeah, and you know what? Wally's gonna be Wally, so we know that about him. So
But
it's
I
all good.
absolutely love Wiley. Like Wiley, as crazy as he is sometimes and outspoken, he is also the friendliest dude and like one of those people that you can always rely on to help you if he can. Like if he's got it, he'll help you. If you need someone to talk to, he'll be there. Like he's just a good dude. He's a little
Uh,
outspoken and has definitely a set of beliefs, but he's an awesome guy.
It's funny. I mean, I think the guy has a few rage issues because like things will just set him off, and he'll go off into a deep end. But then again, you get him away from that, then all of a sudden, he's like your best friend. And I mean, I remember when I moved out here to Ardmore. He had just been recovering from the injury that he had, and he came out here and he had me set up my TV stand and everything else, help me get started. And I mean, once again, he didn't have to, but he can't. I mean, I looked at this and I was like, I can't do this, and he's like, I'll be over there in a little bit. He came over here and knocked it all out, and awesome for him to do all that. Hell, he came over here one time and ran his Beer 30 show over here because I was introducing the StreamYard, and he liked how it was all set up. We even did the green screen in the back when I had the other room to do this in.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to put his Beer 30 logo on the back, and he was talking into the camera that way, and it was like he liked it. But once again, he does what he does with his show, and of course, everybody go support Beer 30 when he gets up and going again. It's his conservative right leaning show that he gets going on. And if you want to hear a lot of piss and vinegar, boy, you get a lot of that on that show. A lot of it.
Oh, oh lordy!
But anyway, hey, we talked yesterday about the Boeing Max plane
Yo,
that went down.
put that picture up because I'm telling you, you see what I'm talking about there? Like it took out that
Yeah,
entire little section and just whoosh. Like thank
and
God no
how
one was sitting in that window seat.
I know, but the fact that kid's shirt came off. You know how cold it is when you're that high up in the air? I mean, it's cold out there right now, but I mean, how cold it is when you're at, what, 20,000 feet or whatnot?
Yeah, I think
And you going,
they were approaching 20,000 when it happened, and then they had to like drastically go down to 10,000 for everyone to be able to breathe.
I got news for you. Them little airplane blankets are not going to be enough to warm you up on an airplane like that. Sorry. Just ain't going to happen. But yeah, thank God nobody was actually hurt.
That
Everybody
was
got
divine
evacuated.
intervention that no one was sitting in that seat.
Well, shoot. Honestly, that plays into the other story we have. We're going to talk about here in a little bit about the Fort Worth hotel that caught on fire.
Yo,
But
tell me when you
we'll
first
just go
heard
back.
that though. My first reaction was I'm thinking Oklahoma City 2.0. I was like, oh no, here we go. Like
You
2024
talking about,
starting off with a bang. Yeah, see?
yeah, yeah, it really did. I mean, it's such devastation, and we're only 9 days into this year, 8 days
They're
into this whole
saying
thing
it was a
happened.
natural gas leak, which is possible because it was the what was the name of the hotel? The um,
The sand,
Sandman Signature,
Sandman signature, yeah.
and it's an old hotel. So you're thinking if they've been cheap and haven't updated the pipes in a while, they learn
Yeah,
now. Now they're updating the entire first two floors.
yeah. They had 20 people go to the hospital. Not one of them died. You talk about divine intervention. I mean, that thing. I cannot imagine. Imagine being on that floor and you have the explosion going. You're a part of it, and you're still there.
I would
Like you said.
imagine PTSD and possibly some hearing issues because you got to imagine
How
the
wild that would
sound of
be.
that. Yeah.
I keep thinking of the movie World Trade Center, which is clearly a really far way to talk about this, but in the movie where Nicolas Cage and his partner are inside one of the towers, and while the building is collapsing on top of them, just imagine what that was like for them. Now, clearly, this thing in Fort Worth was never near that serious, but then again, it's traumatizing either way you look at it. And man, it's just. By the way, can you imagine? We are 23 and a half years away from what happened at 9/11.
You know what drives me nuts about that though is you can tell that this younger generation, like the Gen Zers, weren't alive when that happened. You can tell in the way they talk about it. Like when they compared January 6th to it. Now, January 6th was stupid. It was a bunch of idiots doing a stupid thing because they took what Trump said and went left field with it. They were idiots. But to compare that to 9/11 is just an atrocity in and of itself because that was true devastation. Like 3,000 people died. Like it brought us into a world war. Like this was insane. And January 6th was like a bunch of idiots that set some things on fire and like one girl died by a Capitol police officer. Like that was it. To compare
Mm.
those things on the same field is just ridiculous to me.
Oh yeah, most
And
definitely.
the way, because I saw, what did I see? So The Rock on the last anniversary of it had posted a thing about how he remembers he was at a WWE event in like Houston or
Here in
something,
Houston, yeah.
and he remembers instantly flying home to Miami or wanting to go home to Miami or whatever because he was worried about his family. And the people in the comments were like, it happened in New York. Why would you be worried about your family in Florida? And I was just like, tell me you weren't alive when it happened without telling me. It's because there were still planes in the air that weren't responding and we didn't know where they were going. Like there
You
was
know,
still a lot of
and
confusion on that day, and people don't understand that. There was a
right.
lot going on.
Well, think about it. I mean, the plane went down, and hit the Pentagon in Washington D.C. We had no idea what all their targets were at that time. We didn't know if they were going to head down to Miami. We had no idea if they were going to come to Dallas. We had no idea if they were going to California. I mean, they were all over the place. So, and we had one plane that went down in Pennsylvania that
Only
was brought down
because
by the passengers to control the
yeah,
plane.
thank God, God bless
So,
that.
God bless them. So, I mean, clearly, it's there's a lot of you know I hate the armchair quarterbacking of this world where they sit back and go, well, this could have happened, but it didn't. So I mean, we're all gonna be okay now. I'm like, look, things were not okay that day at all. I
No,
remember where I was when it happened.
oh, I do
So
too. I was
I
little.
mean,
I was in what
yeah,
second grade, third grade.
I was. It tells our age difference here. I was. Shoot, I'm trying to remember. I was in my 20s. I know that, but I'm sitting. I mean, back when I had an answering machine for my telephone, because there were no cell phones back then. I remember getting a message from my buddy Bo saying, "Hey Trey, we're under attack. Call me back later. Bye." Like, we're under attack. And then I remember
Yeah,
going over to I remember going over to the TV and seeing what was going on. It was in New York, and of course at the time it was either 97.1 the Eagle or it was 105.3, whatever they were at that time. Live 105.3. They had the Howard Stern show on, so I clicked over there because he's in New York, and he was talking about it. And as I understand it, that one show that he did got a Peabody Award for how they covered the 9/11 deal at the time. And to me, I was like, well, the closest thing I have to New York right now is listen to him because he's there. And to listen to him and Robin and all those people who were part of that show at the time talk about what's going on, how he talked about Osama bin Laden might be responsible, and we had no idea what was going on at the time because we were all in a blur. And which I know it's January 9th. We're talking about 9/11, but don't worry about that. But I mean, it was one of those crazy times where we didn't know. By the way, just FYI, this show is being broadcast on my Facebook page. Don't know if it's quite on Presley's yet, but we have to have a couple more videos, live videos before it generates to hers. But we do have us on the YouTube page. So if you go to the Daily Grind 24 for the year that we started this thing, on YouTube, this show is airing live on there as well. So make sure y'all tune in, subscribe, like, leave a comments, have fun with us. We're having fun with y'all. Y'all have fun with us. Yeah. Everybody look at Presley and go, God, she's so beautiful. Look at her. Look at the hair. It's awesome.
Oh, look. God. So I brought my big old, because everyone's freaking out about the Stanley Cup thing. Did you get to hear about that? Like all the people.
I've roughly heard about the Stanley Cup.
It was like people were outside of Targets and stuff at 3:00 in the morning to get the Valentine's Day pink Stanley Cups that are like $60 a pop. Now, I didn't do all that, but I do own one Stanley Cup because I wanted to get one just to see what the hype was about. So I do have it, and I decided in honor of the insanity going on today that we're going to use it.
There you go.
But
there you go.
That's crazy. They're pretty good. They're pretty, but I wouldn't go as far that some of these girls go where they got like 100 of them. Like, my one is good and it's cute and it works. The nice thing about it, I will say, is that the shape, it actually, like, because it goes small down here and it actually fits in your cup holder, which you have a problem with a lot of these kind of cups. So I do like that part. But other than that, it's just a cup.
I'm all about collections. I mean, clearly look behind me. I've got
all your cowboy crap.
Yeah, my cowboy crap. I got like little figurines of Cowboys. There's one of Tony Romo. I've got my newest ones up there where the trophy is with Micah Parsons. So, I mean, I like collecting stuff. Clearly, the stuff I got behind me, I was a big Danny White fan. I'm all about collections. My wife, I mean, she has a Barbie collection unlike no other. I mean, so much it almost took me out of all my rooms. But she I mean, and I remember when American Girl doll first started out, she collected a lot of that. And those are expensive, but people say the value in that goes up tremendously over time.
Well, look what happened to Beanie Babies. There was like a hype there for a little while where they were selling those on eBay for thousands of dollars. And I was like, damn, 5-year-old me would have had enough to buy a house.
Well, my sister had a collection of Beanie Babies for a while. And then, unfortunately, her house caught on fire and it went away. And I think that got her out of collecting that stuff at that time. But, I mean, that was back in the 90s. But
I just got the cutest picture of my kid, and I have to share it.
Okay.
They're painting at school.
Nice.
He's a mess. He's got paint.
Now, which one is that?
That's Benjamin.
Which one is that? Benjamin, okay. That's Benny, as you called him earlier.
That's Benny Boo.
That's cool. By the way, me and Presley were talking yesterday. Monday through Thursday, we're going to be doing a lot of, serious talk, political talk, sports talk, just whatever comes off the top of our head. Friday, we're going to have a lot of fun, show you some pictures of what we do, who we are, that kind of stuff, tell some stories about the pictures that we're taking. and we're gonna have a lot of fun with y'all because I know my friend Rachel who watched our show. She's like, I liked y'all's show. Y'all didn't really explain a lot about you guys though, like y'all thought yesterday you were gonna do. And that's true. We really didn't because there's a lot. You get us every day, so you're gonna find out more and more about us every day. We want to
And
give
check
you
out
guys.
our other shows, because our other shows we might be talking. You might find out more there too.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a whole different life when it comes to professional wrestling that I don't quite share on here that much because they're two different worlds. Um,
No.
I mean, I work in pro wrestling, so I get to live that dream. At age 48, when I don't sit there and dwell on that on my normal day to day 24/7 life that I have. Uh, Same thing with Presley. She's got her own political views, and she's got her own show that she's talking about. She's got her own fit trend thing that she does. Clearly, y'all seen the graphics yesterday. We'll throw them here later, but clearly we have things that we're into, and we're trying to help spread the word out for what we do. So that's what this show really is. Just us to sit here and have fun. Me and Presley, we probably see each other once every 6 months. After
Probably.
since you left my current work of employment. I mean, we probably bump into each other every once in a while, or we go hang out at the V over in Gainesville or whatever. And for us to do this on a daily basis, I mean, she's gonna get so sick of seeing my pictures. It's not gonna be funny. And yes, I know, Tommy, I'm being self depreciating, but that's what I do. But anyway, I'm
Well, yeah, and then I'm also on top of all these shows, and then having 3-year-old twin boys. I have uh, my handsome husband who's over here, and then I have I'm in pre-law, so I'll be going to law school next year, and that takes a lot of work. I'm prepping for the LSAT right now, which is the test you have to take to get into law school, and it's a lot. So I stay home with the babies, and well, they're at school now, but and then I do school. And God bless my husband for being the provider right now while I have my nose in books. But it'll pay off when I'm making those big lawyer bucks, and he can go on vacations.
there you go. And once again, I mean, this show here is, I mean, this is our first week. We're gonna see how this goes, and we're hopefully this becomes just a daily thing on a daily basis. But there's gonna be some times though that to where like I know we have big weather coming up here soon,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this today. Um, where I work at, there's actually a hotel there, and I'm not saying the name of where I work at because I'm sure they don't want to hear that on this thing. But where I work at, there's a hotel, and if the weather gets bad, they have us stay there at the hotel and just come into work, 10 hours later. Um,
Yeah.
if
Especially
that
during
happens,
the winter weather.
right. So if that does happen, there will not be a show that following day, depending on what the weather's like. And I hope y'all understand that, And now we could probably try to do it through my phone because but I'm not gonna take my laptop up there to the hotel and keep it there while not knowing what's going on while I'm at work. So that's just my own preference there. So
Yeah, but we'll let everyone know in advance if something like that happens.
right.
Weather, thankfully, usually you can know a couple days in advance when something's approaching. So
Yeah, exactly. Which, by the way, the Gulf Coast. Did you see what was? I mean, hell, the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, it was hitting hard yesterday,
yeah.
and that's coming this way here in the middle. So
Well, that's what
stay tuned.
That's one thing I got to look for too. I got to get probably trade in my car next year for an SUV because there's a possibility, depending on what law school I get into, that we might have to relocate to the East Coast. That's why we're not buying a house or anything until after. Plus, with the economy right now, like the interest rates are ridiculous. But
Right.
um, we're waiting until we figure out what law school I get into because once we figure out the law school, then that's going to kind of determine where we're settling down and we're going to stay. Because usually those schools will also help you with career stuff out of school because they partner. Like I know SMU partners with a bunch of law firms in Dallas, so it's like kind of wherever I get is where the future lies. So we'll see from there. But one of the schools is in Virginia, so I might be right in the middle of all that stuff here next year.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to move back to the East Coast, especially in the Carolinas. My family was from the North Carolina area. My mom was actually born in New York, and but she made it. She told me she tried to make it out there as quickly as possible. Um, but her family, a lot of it are buried up in the Carolina and North Carolina area,
Mhm.
and so was she for that matter. But it was funny. I've been doing this ancestry.com thing. My daughter set this thing up a while back, and to kind of backtrack to see all of her mom's, you know, family stuff. So I called her up. I said, "Hey, do you mind if if I take a poke at my family tree just to see if I can help connect the dots there?" So yeah, go ahead. So I was going through there and I was looking up if you go to findagrave.com or whatever, and you can find people who are linked to your name and just go up the ladder kind of thing.
Mhm.
Well, as I was doing that, I was looking at my dad's mother's side, my grandmother's side. As I got further up there, I came across a lady named Adeline Cooper. Adeline Cooper was a wife of the mayor of what would be Horry County of South Carolina, and she won a naming contest for the city that they were in, which was Myrtle Beach.
Oh,
So the name Myrtle Beach has family lineage to me, and which is weird because as a kid growing up, I don't think my parents even knew this at all. We used to travel to Myrtle Beach from Dallas to South Carolina every year, sometimes twice a year, June and August. And we stay out there 2 weeks a year. Had a travel trailer out there. We'd stay out there right by the beach, and it became home. It became home for us. And I tried to when both my parents passed away, we tried to get them as close as we could. We got them buried in Wilmington, which by the way has the best barbecue ever. If you like North Carolina barbecue, um, that's the one thing I do want to do. I want to. I know I'm all over the place. I want to do a barbecue trip one day to where I go from where I currently live in Ardmore up to see go up to Kansas City, then head over to St. Louis, and head down to Memphis, then come back home and just do a big barbecue run because
that'd be interesting.
every city does it differently. I got a buddy of mine, my buddy Lord Billy Hills, who does Officers TV with me. He lives up in Missouri. He's like, I'm down if you go. If you go, I'll meet you up there because I live in this area. I'm like, cool.
I have a bucket list
So
thing like that to go to Philly and go to like a home Eagles game just to see what like a home Eagles crowd is really like because we're insane. And
true.
to try out like a Geno's cheesesteak, like a real Philly cheesesteak.
I remember it was funny
And then to
because
see all the history there because you got the Liberty Bell
right,
and you got all that kind of stuff.
you got the Rocky statue and everything else. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny because I took my son over here to Turner Falls recently. If you've ever been to Turner Falls, it's a very nice lake that they got out here in Oklahoma, and you know they have these things you can do. They have this kind of castle you can climb up these steps to go up into. So my son was running up the steps. I'm going step by step by because I know me, I ain't gonna run. And I get all the way up there. I'm going. What the hell is going to
Dive.
Philly? I ain't doing the Rocky Steps. No, I mean those are more sturdy than this thing, but I ain't doing it. But yeah, definitely. In fact, one guy, shout out to him, Caleb Turner, our former coworker at our place of employment.
Yeah.
He is a bucket. He is a bucket list master. I mean, he sets his mind to it. He says up, he goes, and he's done the Rocky Steps. He went to Hawaii a couple years ago. He was gone for like 4 or 5 days, and I'm like, hey, where'd you? I was like, I went to WrestleMania. It was out in California. I know, just on a whim. He was like, yeah, I didn't have any tickets. I just went out there and and just bought them right there. Okay, I mean, and like he never flown before. He had just flown to Las Vegas. Never been to Las Vegas. Went flew to Las Vegas, flew back, and that's when COVID hit. And then the question was, okay, have you had any air travel in the last 72 hours? Like, yeah,
Oof.
but he was he was clear of it. But I mean, um, shout out to him. I mean, me and him, we actually did a bucket list thing where we drove out to Amarillo, Texas, to try the Big Texan.
Hmm.
And for those who want to see the video of that, just go to YouTube and actually go over to the Officers Network and look at my playlist of old stuff, and you'll see the video of me and Caleb trying to eat this damn steak. And let me tell you something, folks. It is the best steak you'll ever have until the end, because the end just ruins it all. Because I got halfway through the steak, ate all the sides, and unfortunately got to see it all over again. Caleb, on the other hand, he ate a third of the steak, most of the sides, and had 2 beers and did not throw up at all. So I'm envious because, I mean, he didn't get sick. I did. But, it was a fun trip that we did. And, kind of want to do it again. But at the same time, I just know I see how these professional eaters eat this stuff. And I'm like, how? They take like a hamburger and go, that. And I'm going, with a 72-ounce steak. And like my job was, I got it and I cut it in half. Let me eat the first half, and I'll eat my sides, and I'll eat the second half. Well, if you cut it in half, all the cold air is blowing into that steak, and it ruined it. And I didn't know that, so now I know what not to do. But
eat the steak first.
Yeah, eat the steak first, and just then chow down the sides, and then be done with it. But I remember my sister put it in my head. Like, she had seen the video, and she's like saying, "Oh, Trey, you got to throw that up instantly." Like, don't put that in my head. Don't. Damn it! Now it's there.
Yeah.
So, it's bucket lists are fun to try, even if you don't attempt them. At least you got the stories to tell about them. So, anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait for that Philly trip. That's gonna be fun. I've wanted to do.
You had a California trip for your dirty.
For my dirty what? My dirty 30?
If you're dirty 30, you want to go to California, weren't you?
Well, I was supposed to. That's a whole thing. You can watch the Fit Trends episode about female friendships on that one. Just had a friend that it was like a I can't think of the word, like, when like a Jenga, like one got taken out and the entire thing collapsed. So like one friend backed out, and then another backed out, and then another backed out, and then it was going to be like pretty much just me. And so I was just like, and then like one friend could only stay for a couple days, the other friend could only stay for like the weekend, and just like the entire trip was just like, it just went into flames. So maybe we'll do a redo one day when I have some money, but the next couple years are getting ready for law school and stuff, and possibly a move. So we got to like make sure the finances are in order and everything's good, so that just in case we got to relocate.
Well,
got to be responsible.
How will they survive with you at not being at the V every day? Yeah.
I don't even go there I love the people at the V, but I don't go very much anymore anyway, because the smoking environment and stuff. I have asthma, and it's just and I'm not a big drinker. Like, I'm really not. Like, I think I only hung out there as much as I did because I work there. But like in a general aspect, I've never been a heavy drinker. Like, even when I was in my early 20s and hanging out with all the girls, like even when I wasn't supposed to be the DD, I would end up being the DD, because like I'm kind of a control freak, and I don't like feeling out of control of my body, which is why I've never tried any drugs or anything like that. And I usually only get like a buzz, and then like I'm chilling. And I have a weak stomach. So just like everything on top of each other, it's like too much makes me feel like crap. I don't like not being in control of myself or feeling like someone else might need to take care of me. Like, I hate that feeling. So I think Marcus and I have been together for 8 years. 8 years? 8 years. And he's seen me drunk maybe 3 times. Like drunk. It doesn't happen. Just never been my thing. Like, I might have like a beer or two at like a baseball game or so, like, but it's always just a couple. It's never like, I'm never going ham and just slamming and stuff. That's just not my thing.
I know that. I've been known to get drunk every once in a while. Last time I think I did it, I was doing my podcast, the Ostrich TV show, and I had my guys around me too, so on the screen, so like they can carry on the conversation while I'm sitting there being obliterated. And I had the Cowboys Titans are playing on Thursday night, and I said, okay, every time the Cowboys score a touchdown, I take a shot, and I had some Crown Royal apple that I
Ooh.
just bought for it was really good too, and so I'm sitting there just shot. Wait, 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 wait. Come on, Cowboys, do something. Okay, shot. So like, there's like no buzz here at all, right? So finally at halftime, I'm going, okay, I gotta change this up. I gotta do something different. So I just every time somebody says something on the show that would get me to like a trigger, I go, okay, okay. Next thing you know, I'm halfway through the bottle, and I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? I mean, and they're all just sitting there poking fun at me. I'm going, yeah, this is not a great idea. But once again, it was fun because we try to make good TV, radio, whatever we're doing, and we had and just to hear me go, yeah, I think that's going to be a good idea. Whatever. And then to get from where my studio was to my bedroom, which is right next door, was a trick of its own. And then later on, when I had to get up to go use the restroom, had to hold on to the wall to get down to the bathroom. I get in there, I go to do my stuff, and I'm like, how come I don't hear anything? And I'm just peeing on the floor at that point. I didn't realize that. So
Oh Lord.
I'm like, yeah, things have gone definitely off the chain here. So that was really the last time I really ever drank. So as far as that much, but the boy
Yeah.
Crown Roll Apple is some good stuff. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Me and Pamela will do every once in a while, but it's usually like typical. Like I'll have a couple, and then Pamela has a really small stomach, so she'll get drunk really quick, and it's a hoot because I call it the real Pam. Like the inside Pam comes out because like outside Pam is kind of shy and like doesn't talk much. She has a small
Very
circle,
guarded, yeah.
and then like I could like when Pamela Lama comes out, then she's
We
like
know.
she's the best. I love her. I told her that
Yeah,
when I go to law school and stuff, I'm taking her with me, and she's gonna after I'm done with my degree, she's gonna be my assistant. So she has to follow me everywhere I go, and she's never allowed to leave my side.
there you go. There you go. Yeah. By the way, I've had people ask me, what's the deal with the coffee cup? Because we're not talking about coffee, clearly. You know, I
Morning.
remember yeah, I mean, when my mom, God rest her soul, when I used to take her on the road with me when I was a truck driver, she insisted every morning that when she got up, I go into the truck stop and get her a cup of coffee. She cannot function without a cup of coffee every day. And I remember vividly, I was, she had slept in the back while I was driving overnight. I was coming from Fort Worth to Memphis with a FedEx run, and I am minute by mile because I had to stop for about 2 hours and take a nap because I needed something to get me there. So we are minute by mile getting to where we have to get to, and then there's like a Love's truck stop right there at the exit where I'm going to. And my mom and her infinite wisdom going, Trey, there's a truck stop right there. Can you get some coffee? Mom, I gotta make this delivery like in the next 5 minutes. But I really want some coffee. Mom, I have to make this delivery in the next 5 minutes. To get out of the truck, to get into the truck stop, that'll take 30 minutes. Fine, fine, fine. Then it was like the guilt trips were happening. I was like, God, I really need that cup of coffee. I really need to get that cup of coffee right now, Trey. I'm gonna throw up if I don't get that cup of coffee, Trey. I'm like, I will kick you out of this vehicle if you keep talking like that. So once again, we used to call that the Glee McLean farewell tour because she got to see the country before she passed away.
Oh,
But having to live under those parameters, and the funny thing is, I went and I bought her a coffee pot to put in the truck. That wasn't good enough. She
no,
wanted a truck stop coffee, so I was like,
it just doesn't
I
hit
just
the
can't win
same.
with you. I just can't win with you. That's all it is. So anyway, it
It's just
was
not the same. Okay,
yeah. For
like
those,
there's
yeah, I
something
drove.
about I do the same thing. Sometimes, like I haven't been able to recently because I haven't had the money to. But there's something about like every time I leave the house, I gotta make like a coffee run first and then run my errands. Like there's something about having the coffee with you. I don't know. It's a habit.
I'm the same way with caffeine. I wake up, I get me a nice Coca-Cola or whatever, just to kind of get the engine going. Um, I do that also because I end up taking like 4 Advil just to get rid of the morning headache I get. And and I was told that if you drink it with caffeine, it'll speed the stuff down a little bit
Process.
quicker. Yeah, so I've been doing that, and it's probably I'm sure my liver is loving me right now. But they're saying, dude, how many of these are you gonna take every day? Jesus.
Well, more like
But
your kidney. I think your kidneys really liking the Coca
yeah,
Cola.
it was funny. I had a wrestling show this past Saturday, right? And I was talking to the promoter. The promoter is a former WWE superstar named Sermo. Wrestled back in the '90s as Men on a Mission. Him and Big Daddy V, Viscera. He was Mabel before all that. So Mo and Mabel were the tag team. And we were sitting there talking about the group that I have. For those who don't know, I'm a Hill manager, and I have a group called the Network because I'm the Podfather. And I was saying, yeah, the guys I got don't listen to me. I mean, you try to instill some stuff in them. Say, look, I kind of know what I'm talking about here, and they don't want to hear it because they got in their own mind how they want their character to be. And
Yeah.
and who are you? You don't come to our school. You don't listen to us. So I sat there and I told him, look, I just don't think I'm getting the war and edgewise with these guys. I think you need to take them away from me and let's move on to something else. And Bobby stood up. He didn't stand up because he's in a wheelchair, but I mean, he got up and says, guys, everybody over here right now. And for 2 hours, he berated everybody, including me. But he berated everybody about, not listening to your coaches, not listening to me. This guy right over here, he a veteran. You should listen to him. Maybe he can help you out. And then actually, I had kids coming to me after the end of the show saying, dude, what about this? What about that? I'm like, and I try to help them out a little bit. And it's kind of the reason why I'm still doing the wrestling is because I get to help inspire a younger generation to get better. And I get to help them find themselves through their character.
Yeah.
I've got one kid he's a good guy. He's got like the long hair, good looking kid. And he's like, what should I do with my hair? I'm like, well, if you're a good guy, keep the hair in the front. Keeps you kind of a mystery, but in a good way that the fans will love you. When you become a bad guy and you start aligning with me or whoever else, you throw the hair back and act like you're above it all. It's those little bitty things that you got to look at to, you know, to make your character work. And that's what I love about what I do is help them out. There are those who listen, and there are those who won't. I mean, that's life. That's in every walk of life we live in. I mean, you're going to go into law, and I'm sure there are people can tell you from every different angle which way you should do this until you
Oh,
find
yeah.
your own way. And that's just the pressure it's funny. You think we get out of peer pressure once we get out of school? No, it's there all the time,
Yeah.
and it doesn't stop. So anyway, boy, the wind's picking up over here now. Jeez.
No, I know, me too. So what other news was there? I was looking at I'm a Daily Wire subscriber, so I get all the news. There was a car that ran into the White House gate. It
That happens
happened
like every
around.
4 years, though.
No, this was some guy. Around 6 p.m. last night, a vehicle collided with an exterior gate on the White House complex. Driver was taken into custody, and they are currently investigating the cause and manner of the collision. Um,
Huh?
Joe Biden was traveling at the time of the incident and was not inside the White House. And then last month,
Maybe.
someone crashed into his motorcade. So I don't know if people are just terrible drivers or if they're trying to say something.
I will say this: my son, and I love my kiddo more than anything in the world. I had him one weekend. I'm like, hey, what's your least favorite subject? He's like, I don't like history. Really? It's like, why is that?
I
He's like,
love
I don't know.
history.
I don't get it. I do too. I'm like, you live in a city close to a city that the biggest traumatic incident happened in our country's history. Really? Yeah, this is you live near the city where JFK got shot. I didn't know that. I'm like, okay, well, just FYI, just so you know that. So one day I'm gonna come get him. I'm gonna come get him and hang with him all day. And I'm like, well, you want to go bowling? You want to go see a movie? Do you want to go see where JFK got shot through the head? He's like, yeah, let's go do that. So we hopped on the Dallas Dart Rail, took it down to the Dealey Plaza, did the whole museum thing. He got to walk around, take pictures, and he was so fascinated by the entire thing. He stood on the X where Kennedy got the first shot in his back, I guess, and he got to see all that stuff, and he's like,
The
and
magic
we're sitting
bullet.
there, he's like, yeah, okay. Um, it's funny because I do think Oswald did it. I do think Oswald did do it. I think the car was aligned. The seating was aligned differently to where a bullet wouldn't zigzag the way the movie made it look like it did. But because I think of the positioning of where the president was to where Connolly was. But I remember we're sitting there going, and my son's like, "Is that the building?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's where allegedly he got shot." Because there's always the conspiracy stuff, right?
Hmm.
So we're out there waiting to go in, and this older couple walks up to us, and they're looking at him, and I guess they're fascinated with the fact that a young kid is going to go see this, and they're like, it's like yeah, this is where they say Oswald shot him, and he's looking at me going, they say other people shot him too, but I think Oswald did. It's like then they got into a debate, and I'm like, well, look, until you show me something otherwise in the last 60 years, I don't buy it. I don't buy what anybody else says. You know, that's I mean, if history has stayed the course of this time for this long, no matter how many people can be sacrificed to the whole thing, 60 years is long enough to at least say, okay, here's who really did it. But we don't have that, so
Or something to get
you know,
declassified or something. Because most of those people are
right.
long
So
dead. So
you're right. So I mean, we got to see that, and of course, they have the vendors out there trying to sell the fake newspapers of that day and this and that, and trying to make their $20 and whatnot. So, but it was a fun time, and he had a ball. And by the way, if you live in the Dallas Fort Worth area, people anywhere in there, if you've never been, just go. Just go one day. Make sure it's nice and warm outside because you don't want to go today. It's cold as hell. But go out there and have just take in what it was like in '63. Then go back home, watch the YouTube stuff, and just kind of see how it's all changed since then. And you sit there and go, "Wow, I got to be here and see this. It's very cool, very very cool." You know,
so since
if that's a
we're
bucket
talking
list thing
about,
for most people.
yeah, that would be cool. Since we were talking about JFK, though, what do you think about RFK Jr. and his little independent independent presidential run that he's trying right now? Do you think he's a character or what?
Well, I think he's more of a character than he is. I mean, he'd be a great character on SNL. I mean, imagine what they can do with him.
I don't think he's
I'm not.
like
I'm not.
completely cuckoo, but I do disagree with him a lot on the autism stuff just because we're both parents of autistic children, and he likes to
Right.
blame it all on vaccinations and stuff, and I'm like, that could be a contributor, but I don't think it's the cause of it. Like, I think there's a lot of factors that
But
could attribute for
but
the
here's the thing.
rise.
But here's the thing. My son was never vaccinated,
Yeah, see, that's what
and
I'm
he still
saying.
hasn't.
Like,
Yeah. And he's on the spectrum. I mean, he's high level, but he was never really on the spectrum. I mean, he's on the spectrum, but he was never really vaccinated to the point to where well, that could have been a contributing factor. Look, who knows? I mean, when a woman gives birth to a baby, you know, when that baby comes out, who knows what that baby's gone through in that entire time they've been in there? Okay, I mean, there's no telling what human nature makes things happen the way they do. You know, it just happens. And when we found out about Cooper having autism, we found he was about 3 or so, and he's still not really spoken yet. And but so we had him tested and everything else, and they say he is on the spectrum, but he is very functioning. He does function. He's giving us a lot of sign language to kind of let us know what he wanted. So we had to learn some sort of signs. I don't remember them now, but like if you want D, he do this. if he wanted to, if he wasn't potty trained until about age 4, but that's only because we didn't know how to really potty train a kid who couldn't tell us, what was
That's
going on with
that's
him.
what we're going through
And it
right
was
now. The
funny
boys are
because
3.5, and we're this potty training slow because they're not really showing any interest in it yet, and they're not able to communicate yet that they have to go. So it's like that definitely plays a factor when you're trying to like get them to express that they have to use the restroom.
right. Well, the funny thing was, it took us like maybe 3 nights of just saying, okay, no pull up, no diaper, you go to bed normal, because one thing about being autistic is that you're very hypersensitive to everything, you
Yeah,
know. So the idea of sitting in your own crap, as it were, would be, or your own pee, it kind of like it's not pleasant. And he learned that like really quick, and in 3 days he was potty trained just like that. And we waited that long to figure that out because we didn't think he was ready at an earlier age. And then, sure enough, once we got to where he got to, he's never had a problem since. Now, that was him. Everybody's different. Everybody does their own thing. So I really do think that you know politicians need to get out of everybody's business when it comes to that, and let science, let the medical teams, let everybody who can actually physically help somebody out like that help them.
yeah.
Don't sit there. I'm tired of politicians who like to blame everything for everything. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
and it makes it as if being a parent doesn't come with enough guilt, especially with a diagnosis like that. Like when you get autism or Down syndrome, or there's some kind of something quote quote wrong with the child. The first thing you do is, as a parent, is like, okay, was it me? Do I have bad genes? Is it something I ate? Did I take too much Tylenol? Because there's so much stuff out there about what might cause it, and your first instinct is like, oh my god, is it me? Like, should I not have any more kids because they're all going to be messed up? Like, you go
mm,
through this cycle, and then when you have these politicians sitting there and being like, oh, it's because you got them vaccinated, even though you were vaccinated as a kid, so you thought, okay, it should be fine, I'm fine. Oh, it's because of this, you put them in too much screen time, it's because you took too much Tylenol, the acetaminophen. There's all these things, and it's just like it adds to that guilt that you're already experiencing with having to raise a child that has some type of you know
deficiency.
neurotypical and or
Yeah, I
neurotypical, yeah.
mean, the funny thing about Cooper though is that even though he is on the spectrum, he's smart as hell. He's got good grades. He may not process certain things that you and I can process clearly right now. Like, talking to people like how you and I are talking. His thing is, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how he communicates. But then you get him to break out of that, and then like I would sit there and I would say, "What's your favorite part of the movie that we saw?" I don't know. When this happened and this happened, that was funny. I mean, it's always like, I try to reach out to him to communicate more as much as I can. Not I don't see him every day, which does suck, and and maybe one day that'll change. I don't know, but I mean, well, I mean, just trying to sit there and communicate with him. He's getting good at texting. I mean, me and him, we text each other, most of the time. Like I told him about I saw the Iron Claw movie, and he's like, "Was it good?" So I enjoyed it, and if you're not a big wrestling fan, Cooper, but it tells you about the brotherhood of this family and this and that, and it doesn't tell you the entire thing, but it's pretty much spot on to how the family communicate with each other. It's like, oh, that's cool. Now he probably doesn't want you watching the movie, but because he's not a wrestling fan, but which is weird coming from my family, but you know, um, the thing is that he found one thing that got me okay. He was playing a Lego game one day on the PS4,
Mhm.
and I'm listening to the game, and like it's the Lego City, whatever it is, and the character sounds like Morgan Freeman. You know, like I'm in a jail right now with all these people. Kind of that low, soft spoken, Morgan Freeman voice. And I'm watching the video, and I'm going, they stole this entire thing from Shawshank Redemption because the character in the game is named Blue. In the movie, his name is Red,
Mm,
and I'm like, and it was a lot of the same things. I'm like, Cooper, they're taking that for one of my favorite movies. He's like, really? So one weekend I had him. He's like, what's that movie that was like shot the Lego game, Shawshank Redemption? Yeah, let's watch that. You're 12. How is a 12-year-old going to enjoy a prison movie like Shawshank Redemption? He's like, no, I don't want to watch it. So I put it on. It's okay, cool. You're with me. It's fine. I mean, he's seen worse. Man, I mean,
mhm.
so we're watching it, and he is so into this thing because he's following it based on the Lego game, and we're playing it and we're watching it, and he's like, "This is a good movie, Dad." I'm like, "That surprised me that you like this movie. That really does." But then
Yeah.
you're my kid, so I can see where that might have played a part. But I mean, you find ways to kind of trigger him a little bit to make him want to be interested in things. Like there was a movie back in the '90s called "Taking Care of Business." Those who don't know what that's about, Jim Belushi, not John Belushi, Jim Belushi plays a convict who wants to break out of jail to go see the Chicago Cubs play in the World Series. So he has the entire prison help him escape prison to get out there to go because he won tickets to the World Series out of a radio deal. In the process, he runs into Charles Grodin, the late Charles Grodin, steals his file effects, saying that was a thing back in the day, and becomes that guy.
Hmm.
And my son, who loves baseball movies, he sat there and he watched it and he laughed the entire time. This movie was so dated it wasn't even funny, but he was laughing the entire time. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of cool that he's actually grasping that.
Yeah.
Again, he has autism, so you sit there and go, how how do you mean? You can put Toy Story in front of him, but he had never seen the first Toy Story movie. We watched 1, 2, and 3, and then he's like, "Yeah, the first movie was the best one. You're right, Dad." I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Definitely.
so I mean, you find ways to break through to a kid like him, and once you find that nice little piece of heaven there with that, it's so great. It's so gratifying because you feel like you did something good with them. It's when you come into the contact of I can't get him to get past the yeah. All of a sudden he's Rain Man. I mean, once you get
Yeah.
him past that, you're fine. And you know, again, my wife and I, we both have an uphill battle trying to see what's going to happen with him years later. He's 13. He's 3 years away from driving a car. What do we do for that? I mean, I mean, I can have him test drive,
Definitely,
my
parenting is
car
a
here.
lot different.
Yeah, it is.
But you know what I've learned about parenting a kid that's neurodivergent is that they you appreciate the little things so much more. Like every little sound, every little word, every little thing, like every little milestone that like with a quote quote normal kid would just be part of the program. You just appreciate it so much more. Like yesterday, James has just started saying he can say his numbers, his letters, his colors. He still doesn't follow like commands or really respond to his name, but he's starting to understand things more and he knows he can say every letter, put it in order. He knows all the shapes. He knows the numbers. Um, and yesterday, out of nowhere, he just took 5 letters off the. We have like a letter board, and he put it on the table. And then I was looking at it, and I noticed he put AEIOU. So he had taken out the vowels and put them in order. And I
Nice.
was like, and so I texted his teacher and told her, and she was like, we talked today about vowels, but we only talked about it for like a couple minutes. We have cards that have the regular letters are black and the vowels are red. She's like, but we only touched on it for like a couple minutes, and I didn't make that big of a deal about it. But to him, it stuck right away. He separated those letters from the other letters. And it was like just little stuff like that. You just appreciate it so much more.
Yeah, I agree. My son was big on math. He did a lot of good math stuff in elementary school. And his process wasn't so much about being good at math. He wanted to have the highest score of everybody, and he always fought for that highest score. And like
Competitive.
he wouldn't have the most. He got real competitive with that, which is cool because academic competitiveness compared to athletic competitiveness nowadays, less concussions. So I was all for him doing what he was doing, and then when the whole thing was over, he's like, now I got to start all over from level zero again. I'm like, well, but now you know what to do. He's like, yeah, I guess. But it's one of those things where he's very, I love that kid. I love all my kids, obviously, clearly.
Yeah.
Um, and I got to watch Dakota become a world class swimmer in high school. I was Cadence is she's 18. She's senior in high school. She's got a job. She's making her own money. She's doing her own thing. And of course, Cooper, he's 13. He's in middle school, and it's still got the big world ahead of him here in high school here to come up in the next couple of years. So anyway,
That
you
was a
guys got to see a
fun
little show
show
about us a
today.
little bit. Yeah, just we had some news, but not a lot. But once again, we're more about trying to talk about us, talk about what's going on in the world and our print opinions, and hope you guys enjoy that. Of course, you can always check out Presley over here at Fit Trends with Presley Christine and co-hosted by Karen Ashley. Of course,
And the
her new show will
first
launch here.
episode today of Middle Ground.
Yeah, first episode. Yes. And of course, for those who are into wrestling, check me out on Offshoots TV. We have a fan page on Facebook. Also, check me out at Trey Mack, as the Podfather does his thing with his buddies. And other than that, any final
Yeah,
words before we get this thing going?
today is the premiere episode of Middle Ground. It's going to be probably getting uploaded about an hour. And it's a fun episode. I wanted to start off kind of lighthearted and just to let people kind of see like what the show is going to be like. So I show a couple like woke TikToks and kind of talk about them. But like next week's episode is going to be a lot more serious. I'm going to be talking about gender transitions for minors. So I kind of like, I'll give like a lighthearted one about, here and there. And then I'll kind of go into more serious topics in other episodes. But I wanted to start off the first episode a little more lighthearted, and so you can kind of see where my views are and where it's heading and what the show's going to be like. But I'm really excited. I've wanted to do a political show for so long, but I was so afraid to do it because I'm raised, like I'm from California. I have so many extremely liberal friends, and with how polarized everything is nowadays, like people will delete you and block you and unfriend you and like stop talking to you because you think differently. And so I was really, really afraid to kind of like let out the inner me because I didn't want to lose friends over it. But then I just finally got to a point where everything has been so insane nowadays and gone so far to the extremes that I was like, look, like if you don't want to be my friend because you don't agree with me, then you weren't my friend anyway, because I don't want friends who can't sit there and talk whether or not we disagree. Like,
Right.
it's just, I don't need those kind of extremes in my life anyway. So, whatever. Good riddance.
That's what I was saying. Piss off everybody. But it's all good. Once again, thanks for tuning in to episode 2. Episode 3 is tomorrow. We got more to talk about. Who knows what's going to happen today? So we'll talk about what happens today, tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Bye, everybody.